Hi, and welcome back to the first ever Sports Zone Sports Show brought to you by the Jeff Drennan dealerships of Zanesville and Coshocton. I'm Dan Wolfgang. Now we're joined by Riverview head football coach Chad Massey. Now, Chad, in his 2 seasons at Riverview, has not quite had the success he's wanted. 1-9 his first year, 2-8 last season. So obviously looking to improve, Chad, on those past 2 years. What have been the areas in this offseason that you've been working on the most with your team?
We worked with our kids on in the off-season strength program has improved greatly. And then when we got into our camp, getting an offense instilled and a defense instilled and focusing on the fundamentals. We got nowhere to go but up, and to get our kids fundamentally sound was our first goal.
Well, and you've obviously had some challenges in the offseason, scrimmage against Mount Vernon and Jonathan Alder. What did you see out of your team in those 2 scrimmages that at least excites you a little bit for the upcoming season?
I saw improvement, and that's all we asked our kids to do. From our first scrimmage against West End, we were a little shell-shocked, and this past Friday when we came out against Mount Vernon and Jonathan Alder, we came out with a lot better intensity, and I was happy with that. We were able to move the ball against both teams. We were able to get some 3-and-outs again against both teams, so I was happy with our improvement from our first scrimmage to our second.
Well, moving the ball this year, I mean, obviously is key in any football game, but especially because you lost your 2 running backs from last season, Vince Moore and Cody Cochran. How do you describe losing guys like that, especially Cody, just an absolutely incredible talent?
Well, that's a lot of speed and that we lost. We've got a lot of young backs that we're going to be rolling through that all bring different things to the table, try to keep fresh legs on the field. We returned 4 of our 5 offensive linemen, so that's a positive. And then this is our first year in about 4 years that we return a starting quarterback.
Well, and that's Jared Miller. Why don't you tell us a little bit about him? What are his strengths and what are his weaknesses?
He's a tall, physical type quarterback, not afraid to tuck the ball and run it. He's, again, having a year or 2 now as a starter. We're expecting a lot of things from him as far as just understanding what we're wanting to do, down and distance, situational things, and we're hoping that he develops into what we think he can.
Now, we've been talking about the offense. What about defensively for this Black Bear team? Who do you expect to be the leaders, the guys who are going to stand up and take this team to hopefully the promised land?
Well, we've got several starters back on our defense. Aaron Smith at corner. We bring back David Rice on D-line. Corey Saylor, Kirby Wright, some names that started for us last year. We're switching back to a 4-3 defense, which is something that we did a few years ago, and so we're getting back to, which I believe will make us a little more fundamentally sound, because we go from a spread team to a wing T team in a variety of offenses, and it allows us to get in and out of things that we need to.
And have your players have worked well in that transition, getting back to the 4-3?
Yes, they have. They have.
All right. Now, as we the season, as we've said throughout the show, is coming up on Friday. You open the season against Tri-Valley, one of the traditional rivals for Riverview. What do you know about the Scotties, and what are you expecting when you take on Tri-Valley on Friday?
Well, of course, we've seen their 2 scrimmage films, and they like to spread the ball around in 4 and sometimes now 5 wide sets. A lot of skilled kids back. Their quarterback is an excellent athlete. Again, trying to get their kids out in space and make mistakes. They're new at in their line. Their line play, a lot of new faces there, so hopefully we can exploit some things up front and try to contain their speed kids.
Now, given the way that things have gone for you as the head coach at Riverview, what sort of expectations are you putting on your players this season? What do you want to accomplish with this Black Bear squad?
We're focusing on Tri-Valley. As far as a whole season thing, our kids, we need to work on those fundamentals and take care of our first opponent being Tri-Valley, and then we'll move on from there.
Now, you also have a tough stretch coming up, and I know we're focusing on Tri-Valley, but I want to try and hit on it a little bit because we won't be able to talk to you really until later on in the season. You've got a tough stretch where you're going to be taking on Dover, New Philadelphia, just back-to-back. Have you started to look into that and think that maybe you've got to get those wins now because that tough stretch is going to come and it's going to be really tough for you to walk away with victories against the Tornadoes and the Quakers?
Sure. I mean, our schedule is extremely competitive. With Tri-Valley in week 1, West Holmes week 2, and Ridgewood week 3. It's right out of the gate. And we've not had a win in the first 5 games in 4 years. So, and it's tough on young men to handle that, you know, week in, week out, and come back out on the practice field and with excitement and intensity when you've not had that success. So it's important that we get off on the right foot.
Is it tougher for the players or is it tougher for the coaches?
It's tough on both.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, thank you very much. This is Riverview head coach Chad Massey. You can follow Riverview Black Bear football all season long on CoshoctonCountySports.com. We're going to step aside here on the Sports Zone Sports Show. When we come back, we'll be joined by our sponsor, Jeff Drennan. Stay tuned.